Why does Donald Trump want the United States to be the crypto capital of the planet? During the 2024 US presidential election, Donald Trump adopted a notably pro-cryptocurrency stance, signaling a shift from his earlier skepticism. Notably, Donald Trump has not been very bullish on cryptocurrencies in the past. In fact, he expressed skepticism and criticism for them. For example, in 2019, he tweeted, "Not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies," arguing that they are highly volatile, lack intrinsic value, and could facilitate illegal activities. He also emphasized the importance of the US dollar as the dominant global currency. So it is very clear that Donald Trump has had a massive shift in perspective on cryptocurrencies, with Trump pledging to promise the United States as the crypto capital of the planet and proposing a established national strategic reserve of Bitcoin. He also indicated plans to appoint cryptocurrency advocates to key regulatory positions, signaling a commitment to fostering a crypto-friendly environment. Furthermore, the cryptocurrency sector provided a substantial financial backing during the election cycle, with leading super PACs contributing significant funds to pro-crypto candidates. This support likely influenced Trump's favorable outlook on the digital assets. Donald Trump and his family directly became involved within the crypto market through ventures like World Liberty Financial, reflecting a personal financial interest in the industry's growth. So, what would be the implications if Donald Trump was to acquire some Bitcoin for the US National Reserve? Well, for starters, it would add a lot of legitimization to Bitcoin. Acquiring Bitcoin as part of the National Reserve would be a monumental endorsement of cryptocurrency by the US government. This move could elevate Bitcoin's status as a legitimate store of value akin to gold, influencing other nations to follow suit. This would also add a diversification to the National Reserve. Traditionally, the US reserves are composed of gold, foreign currencies, and other assets. Adding Bitcoin would diversify these reserves, potentially offering protection against inflation and other fiat currency devaluations. It would, of course, have a large impact on Bitcoin's value. The US government purchase of Bitcoin would likely cause its price to skyrocket due to its increased demand and heightened investor confidence. It could further reduce supply in the market, as Bitcoin's fixed supply, 21 million coins, is a scarcity. I think it was rumored that Donald Trump was hedging to potentially buy 1 million Bitcoin, so that would obviously take a massive chunk out of the currently available 21 million, and there is no sign that they will start to make more Bitcoin, as it kind of defeats the point of it. So it will be interesting to see if that does go ahead. Bitcoin could hedge against the declining dominance of the US dollar in global trade. By holding Bitcoin, the US could position itself for a financial system increasingly influenced by decentralized and blockchain-based technologies. The US acquiring Bitcoin will also shift global dynamics, as this could set off a global race among other countries to secure cryptocurrency reserves similar to gold in the 20th century. Countries like China, which have had a more restrictive approach to Bitcoin, might reevaluate their strategies to remain competitive. However, Bitcoin's volatility could expose the US reserve to significant fluctuations, raising questions about financial stability. Critics might argue that Bitcoin's decentralized nature limits the US control, making it a less reliable reserve asset compared to gold or Treasury securities. Acquiring Bitcoin would signal the US's commitment to embracing financial innovation, potentially spurring broader adoption of blockchain technologies in the future in public and private sectors. So how would the acquisition of Bitcoin help the US with their fight against national debt? Well, for starters, if Bitcoin's price significantly increases after being acquired by the US, they could potentially sell some of its holdings to pay down portions of their debt. By embracing Bitcoin as a reserve asset, the United States might position itself as a forward-thinking global thinker in financial innovation, potentially attracting investment and strengthening the dollar's position in global markets. So in theory, the United States could attempt to offset some of its debt with Bitcoin, but this approach would face significant challenges and limitations, such as the US national debt currently exceeds 30 trillion US dollars, whilst the total market capitalization of Bitcoin is around 500 billion to 1 trillion US dollars. Even if the US acquired a significant portion of Bitcoin, its value would be dwarfed by the debt. For example, if Bitcoin's value doubled and the US owned $500 billion worth, it would only create $500 billion in unrealized gains, barely scratching the surface of the debt. Furthermore, there would be public and political resistance. Using taxpayer money to purchase a volatile asset like Bitcoin could face political and public backlash, especially if a strategic buy fails. So how would US Treasury bondholders be affected if the United States were to acquire Bitcoin? Well, a US acquisition of Bitcoin as a reserve asset could have complex implications for US bondholders, such as China, given the intricate relationship between the US monetary policy, debt management, and global financial dynamics. This would lead to an undermining trust in US Treasury bonds, as instead of focusing on traditional fiscal tools, it could signal a shift in priorities. Bondholders like China might view this as a sign of reduced confidence in the dollar or traditional financial systems. This could lead to a decline in the demand for US Treasury bonds, a higher borrowing cost for the United States government due to its increased yields. Large-scale Bitcoin acquisitions by the US government could inflate Bitcoin's status as a reserve asset. If Bitcoin strengthens whilst the dollar weakens, bondholders may see the value of their dollar holdings erode. So what real-time consequences will the US's rivals see if they were to actually acquire this Bitcoin? Well, if Bitcoin becomes a widely adopted global reserve asset, the US dominance in Bitcoin holdings would give it a large leverage in the financial negotiations between it and its rivals, this reducing their rivals' economic influence. In the case of China, China has been actively promoting its centralized bank digital currency, CBDC, the digital yuan, as a way to reduce its dependence on the US dollar in international trade. A strong position in Bitcoin for the United States might compete with the undermining adoption of the digital yuan. China banned mining Bitcoin in 2021. This caused many miners to move operations overseas, particularly to countries like Kazakhstan and the United States. A significant US Bitcoin acquisition could reinforce the narrative of the US as a global crypto leader, potentially diminishing China's influence in the sector. Therefore, seeing Bitcoin as a strategic asset, China might reconsider its cryptocurrency policies to compete with the US, perhaps re-engaging with cryptocurrencies or enhancing digital yuan adoption. In summary, the US buying a large amount of Bitcoin would likely challenge their rivals' financial strategies and global influence, particularly in the context of digital assets and currency competition. The specific impacts would depend on how their rivals actually react to the acquisition of Bitcoin by the US government. So that concludes this video. What can we take away from this? So it seems to be a relatively smart play if the US were to acquire Bitcoin. I would like to put out there, I hold no Bitcoin. I'm not really even in the crypto space. I personally specialize in more stocks and actual things that for me have proper intrinsic value. But it does seem like a smart move, especially to diversify their national treasuries. But of course that wouldn't come without risk with the volatility of cryptocurrencies due to the lack of their intrinsic value, of course. But if the US government were to acquire a large amount of Bitcoin, it would definitely legitimize the state of Bitcoin, which could potentially lead to the use of Bitcoin in everyday life. Say, for example, you were to use Bitcoin for your grocery shopping. But of course, I do think we are a long way out from this. But if the US government were to actually acquire some Bitcoin, it would definitely add some legitimacy to this. Of course, this will obviously lead to the devaluationing of the US dollar. So it will be interesting to see where exactly this story leads. So that is it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed and found it somewhat useful. If you could please like and subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated, and I will see you for the next video.